I think the evidence for some form of ancient high technology, you've got machining, precision, and then quarrying and logistics is the other big one for me. It's the massive stuff that I think anything over 400 or 500 tons, like you can demonstrate and people can move smaller loads, like 100 tons, 200 tons, maybe with some primitive means. But once you start to get up into that realm of 400, 600, 1,000 tons, material failure becomes a real issue, like using wood at all. There's tremendous challenges with it's not like a linear curve of difficulty. It gets exponentially more difficult once you start to get masses like that. And there are so many examples of objects in that range of mass in Egypt that are just, it's baffling, because one thing we do know is that there's no evidence that the Egyptians used anything beyond ropes and human horsepower. So they weren't using pulleys. They were using levers, like they would lever stuff. There's depictions of that, but we don't think they used pulleys or capstans or animals for that matter. We used humans to pull on stuff. It has been proven that it would be physically possible or technologically possible for them to move the stones that were used to build the pyramids, right? Sure. Yeah. A lot of those stones aren't that big. Like most of the stones on the Great Pyramid, 2 or 3 tons. You can move those. There's a big challenge when it comes to, but there's like millions of them. Yeah. It's like 2.3 million or something. There's a problem with the timeline too, because in order for them to fit that to the reign of one pharaoh, say Khufu's lifetime, he has to have that thing done with somewhere in the realm of like 25 years, which when you split that out with the number of blocks that are involved with building it, it's something like placing a finished block every 5 minutes, 24 hours a day for 25 years to make that happen, because that's how big an effort it is. Wow. In one of my videos, I compare that with the effort it takes to build a lot of our modern structures, we don't build anywhere near that rate. We takes us far longer with our modern technology. Yeah, I wonder how long it would take us to build those right now if they said we had to replicate them with our equipment and our technology. To the degree of precision that it's made with, it'd be difficult. Like it would be, that's the challenge with any of this stuff. I think a lot of it's within our capacity to do, but we don't have the financial will to do it, because there's no incentive to it. It would cost an absolute bomb, like an absolute bomb. Even to make one box would be a bomb, because it's like, you imagine trying to transport 100-ton load over our roads. Just the permits involved in doing that are out of control. And then you've got, all of just the transport fees alone are crazy. And then you've got, if you were trying to make a box, it would require the development of specific designed machines to make that shape, because we don't cut granite like that. We cut slabs. It just makes it so obvious that we are not a part of some unbroken lineage. Right. We didn't start here and end here. There was obviously broken at some point, and we had to restart. Yeah, and I think that's really gets at the core of why I think this stuff is important too. Is because I think most people, maybe not at the front of their mind, but it's one of those fundamental tenets of living in our society in general and what it means to be human today is that, well, we've just been taught that we're on this linear scale from, the Stone Age to us. And I'm sure there's a few ups and downs in that path, but it's like we're on this preordained path where we're going in the right direction as a human civilization. And it's like nothing can really go wrong. This is the path for humanity. And it's like, I think if more people realize that, well, no, we might be nothing but the latest revolution of, like, I call it the cosmic hamster wheel of human civilization. And eventually the hamster falls off. And that we've been through this loop maybe a few times in the past, in those 300 to 800,000 years that humans might have been here. We've developed civilizations, we've become advanced, we've had a global reach, and then we've just been knocked down because of the cataclysm. And that's the real key to all of this. It's the other major development that's happened in the last few decades that I think it really unlocks a lot of this stuff as being far more legitimate. And that is the understanding that, okay, we've actually had recent cataclysm. And I'm sure your viewers and everybody who saw the Randall podcast, and they're probably familiar with the Younger Dryas cataclysm and that period of time. But, we've always had legends. Every human religion and story talks about flood and fire and, and the ancestors being knocked down and having to start again. But turns out that actually happened. Like we went through, and we've been through several just periods of intense cataclysm that would have been absolutely civilization ending, to the point where the most recent one, being the Younger Dryas, was so severe that it literally changed the surface of the earth. I mean, we're living in the ruins of the old world. It's why one of the reasons we call it America was called the New World. It's like it literally changed the surface of the earth. That's how severe that cataclysm was, and it would have wiped. I'm amazed there's even anything left from that period beforehand. It was tremendous. But this is established scientific fact now that's really only happened in the last couple of decades, and it's been a transition period for geology because.
So is it accepted by science, by the establishment that the Younger Dryas did exist?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So that it existed is definitely incontrovertible. Like that it happened is established science. We know this from ice core records and temperature records. Like it's literally the period is called the Younger Dryas period. Where the debate is happening is about what caused it.
What are the guys in the ivory tower saying?
Well, I think increasingly they're coming around to the idea that it was a cosmic impact, but there's a number of other potential sources for it. I think most of the work, and in fact, it's what's encouraging about this is that this is strictly kind of paleoclimatology and geology. There is a lot of work now, 150 plus peer-reviewed papers that are supporting the concept that this period was brought on by a series of cosmic impacts. Other people have suggested volcanism. Other people suggested the sun. I know Randall talks about the sun being involved. I think there's absolutely room for that as well. We're learning far more about the sun and sun-grazing comets and the effect that large solar flares and things can happen. It's not the only cataclysm that's happened, but there's tremendous evidence at this point that it was a cosmic impact. There's more than 50 or 60 sites across North America, Europe, South America, South Africa that show the same consistent impact proxies in the strata layer in the ground, shock synthesized nanodiamonds, these extraterrestrial platinum and iridium layers, the black matte layer. Like this is a consistent finding across the world, and you can also
they can date this the sediment layers.
That's right. So the stratigraphy in the ground is dated, and what's funny is that. Particularly in North America, the sites, they went to archaeological sites. So they went to these really well-established like Clovis sites that go back 12,000 years that have these very well-documented and researched strata layers. And in those strata layers, back at the period, bang on the Younger Dryas, that's where they find this stuff. And it's really well-established. And eventually, once they started publishing this idea about this comet theory and it might have a relationship to human civilization, some of these guys stopped getting so much access to these archaeological sites to do that work, funnily enough, because a lot of the archaeologists, guys like John Hoops at Kansas State Uni, they really don't like the Younger Dryas at all. They just hate that idea. Again, it's upsetting.
John Hoops, yeah, you talked about him in one of your videos.
Yeah, I had an interaction with him. He called me out on Twitter and then he blocked me for some reason, but